Hi, and welcome to Your Gov Non-Part. Unfortunately, there is really no way to make certain aspects of political science fun. However much I would like to be able to make this fun and exciting and super jovial and jokes, there's parts of it that are just the mechanics. It's like calculus. When you take calculus, one of the things you're going to do in Calc 1 is you're going to learn how to do the proof of the first derivative, and you'll never use it again, but it's a rite of passage. And there's certain things when you're studying political science, or if you're taking government in high school or civics, that's just not fun. It's just something, it's a rite of passage we all go through, and you go through it in high school, and then you go through it again as a freshman in college, and it just sucks, but you do it anyway because it's information that's foundational information that you need. And one of those things is about laws, because that's largely what the government does. I mean, the government does a myriad of things. I mean, thousands of different things, but predominantly what we think of as our federal government, the legislative and the executive branches do is they make laws, and laws are where laws come from is kind of a complex thing depending on where it starts. So the first thing we want to do. This is actually going to be the first in a series of segments on this whole process, and if you live through the series, then you get a gold star, and you now understand how laws are made. Well, the first thing we have to do is start with some terminology, and that's where laws come from and where laws don't come from. So there are some things that happen in Congress, either in the House of Representatives or the Senate, and you'll hear usually about a bill. Like, bill who? Well, a bill, unlike a bill that you receive, or if you're a finance major, a bill being a instrument that's tradable. A bill starts off as a concept, and it can be written out by any American citizen, actually. Only members of Congress can actually present a bill before Congress for consideration, but virtually anyone can write a bill. A congressman, a senator, the president, a judge, you or I can write a bill, believe it or not. It's called a private bill, and then you have to present it generally to your congressperson and try and convince them to present it to the House of Representatives. But anyone can draft a bill, and hopefully somewhere along the line I'll have links with templates so you can try your hand at it. If you think that our congressmen and women have it easy, try drafting a bill. It's much more challenging than you might think. So a bill just is a proposal for a law. Another thing you'll hear about, though, that you have to differentiate from is a resolution. Now, a resolution does not become a law. A resolution is something that is put forth either in the House or in the Senate, making it either a House bill or a Senate bill. A House resolution or a Senate resolution. And these are largely have to do with matters dealing with internal matters concerning the House or the Senate. They do not require the signature of the president if they're passed. They are largely just a matter of form for the individual House of the Congress. A joint resolution, however, is like a bill. It's usually drafted by a joint committee, and by joint I mean it has members of both the House and the Senate in it, and it's drafted, and a version of it, a very, very similar version of it, is passed by both houses of Congress. And this is signed by the president and does function then much like a bill becoming a law. Lastly, there is a concurrent resolution. Now, a concurrent resolution, like a regular resolution, does not require a presidential signature. It doesn't carry any force and effect of law, but a concurrent resolution largely is a public statement of the Congress's stance on an issue. Now, a good example we've talked about in a previous video, and that's censure, which is a public condemnation of a particular member of the government, but doesn't really carry any force and effect of law. And this is a good example of a concurrent resolution. But I can tell you something right now. When the 113th Congress meets on January 3rd, and they're under the Constitution, that's the day they're now required to meet for the first time. When they're gavelled into session, the very first thing, the very first work that the Congress will do, I guarantee you, will be House Concurrent Resolution number 1. Because the reason it's going to be House and not Senate is because it'll start in the House, but the House and the Senate will both pass the same version, so it'll be called House Concurrent Resolution 1. I guarantee you that will be the very first act of legislation, and it has been for the last 4 or 5 Congresses. And it's always the same. And it's kind of a post 9/11 thing. And what it is it's an authorization for the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader to get together and say, yeah, we got a serious problem here, and authorize Congress to meet somewheres other than the District of Columbia, because they are, under the Constitution, required to meet in the seat of government, which is Washington, D.C., unless agreed upon by law. So the very first act they do is to make a House concurrent resolution that says, you know what, if it's in the best interest of the country for us to meet somewhere else, we'll, the major party leaders, majority and minority both, will get together and they'll designate a place where they will reconvene. And that could be undisclosed, but that is in the event that we have another disaster such as we had in 9/11 of 01. But if you go back and you look, check, it's part of the public record that the first thing that every Congress does is House Concurrent Resolution number 1, and it's a very short thing that says, yeah, we can get out of Dodge if there's a problem. So I want you to understand that a bill and a joint resolution are where laws come from. A House or Senate resolution, or a House and Senate concurrent resolution, are not where laws come from. Those are either dealing with matters internal, or they're dealing with matters that are a statement of the Congress as a whole to the world. So a bill, which is the most common way that we end up with a law, is drafted like anybody. Like I say, try your hand at it and then take it to your congressman, and then the congressman will put it forth to the floor of the House of Representatives via the parliamentarian. There is a process that we will go over probably in a future video in more detail, and then it will most likely go to a committee and probably be tweaked and come back and be passed, and then it'll go on, and the Senate will do either pass a motion on it, and then it'll end up with the president, and the president will either sign it or not sign it or veto it, and then it becomes an act. And like I say, we're going to go into this in a little more detail in a future video, but bill passes Congress, goes to the president, it's still a bill. It hasn't been signed yet. Once he puts his signature on it, once the president puts his signature on it, it becomes an act. And okay, so what? It's the so-and-so, usually it's named after the people who put it forth in Congress. It's the such and such act, But is it a statute? Is it a law? Well, yes and no. it's a law because it's been signed into law, but it's not a statute yet. And the reason it's not a statute yet is because after the president signs it, and again, there's a process, we'll talk about this in more detail, it has to go to the archivist. And it has to be archived, and it has to be printed as part of the public record in the United States Code statutes, which come from bills. And now it becomes a statute once it is disseminated, or the word they like to use, you're going to love this word, is promulgated. I love that word, promulgated. It means to be made widely known. And until an act is promulgated, it's not a statute. It's not. It's kind of a quasi-law, I guess you could think of it. You know, you've heard the expression, ignorance of the law is no exception. Well, there is a brief period of time between the time the president puts his signature on it and the time that it's promulgated that, ignorance of the law is a legitimate excuse because it hasn't been made publicly known. It has not been broadcast. It has not been disseminated to the public. So hopefully that helps you understand the difference between a bill, a resolution, a concurrent resolution, a joint resolution, and how some are for internal matters and some actually become laws. Thank you for watching Your Gov Non-Parts segment on bills and resolutions. We hope that you'll take time and pick subscribe above so you can join us, keep track of what we're doing. You can always find us on Facebook where there's other information besides what's here on the channel. Please take time to rate this video, either like or dislike. We'd appreciate that. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below and we'll try and get back to you with answers as quickly as possible. And as always, thank you for watching.